It's time now to head over to BT's Global Research and Innovation HQ at Adastral Park, where friend of the show, Lisa Perkins, joins us. Hello, Lisa. How are you doing?
Hi, David. I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm very well. So I've just bigged you up as being at Adastral Park, but it looks to me as though you're at a shopping centre. What's going on?
So I am actually at Adastral Park, which is BT's research and development site, and where we have our fantastic innovation ecosystem. But specifically, I'm stood in our global showcase, which is where we bring technology to life for our customers or our visitors to help them understand what the art of the possible is. And I'm very glad you think I'm stood in a supermarket or shopping mall, because that is exactly the idea, because I am here in our retail showcase, and this is jam-packed full of demonstrations that we can show organisations that might be interested in the relevant technologies.
Super stuff. So, as you may have just heard, Catherine from Ericsson and I, we were chatting about Ericsson's partnership with BT and how collaborative technologies, how they've been developing and evolving, particularly over the last couple of years. Partnerships, really important, I think, in the collaboration space. And they're also really important to what you do over at Adastral Park, aren't they?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I think all the innovations and the fantastic ideas come to life predominantly through really effective collaborations and partnerships. And we love the relationship that we have with Ericsson, but we have, many different types of collaborations across industry. We have lots of different partnerships with many world-leading universities. And here at Adastral, we have our innovation ecosystem with 155 other companies. And what we love to do is to find innovations and marry them up with particular challenges that businesses and organisations might have, or to help them work through what the opportunities could be. And I'm really delighted to be able to introduce Rob now, who's going to show a demonstration of some technology, which we think is quite exciting. And it comes from an effective collaboration between BT, Intel, and a company called Skydome. So over to you, Rob.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, David. Welcome to the showcase. And our showcase here is our control room environment for surveillance in this scenario. Lots of physical screens around me here so that a control operative could start to monitor and bring in different things onto those screens and see what's going. But what we've done here as well is we've actually brought the content not just into a physical space, but into a virtual space in software. And putting a front end onto that is a VR headset. So I can now immerse myself into a virtual control room by putting the headset on. You're lucky today in that you're also going to be able to see what I see in here on the screen behind me. And I think the screen in front of me here is also going to be viewing the same content. So as I put this screen on, I'm immediately immersed in my control room. We've set this up today so that it's monitoring an emergency situation, a fire that's taken place in a tower block in the city. And I've brought in various data sets. So I'm now looking at a data set here of the body cameras being worn by the firefighters fighting the fire. So we can start to see what's happening there in terms of people being rescued from it, the smoke in the corridor there, the fire there, somebody bringing down, looks like a child down the stairs. We've got a feed here from a camera. Look at all the smoke that's spitting out through the city. It's blowing in that direction. So, and there's other feeds down here of traffic flow out of the city. Maybe if we can control this fire, we won't have to worry about the city being evacuated and so on. I can come around here again. There's some more information there. There's a schematic in front of me now of the tower block, telling me maybe where people are located within the block and how it's being evacuated and so on. Over here, I've now got the biometric information of maybe one of the firefighters. How are they coping under the stresses and strains of fighting this fire? I've now got a map, and that map is actually showing me different camera feeds that I've got available to me. So not only fixed cameras on the ground, but I can see I've got some drones flying around the city now as well. So I could now choose a drone. I could actually get a drone eye view from above the city. And there's a map. There's a map below me as well. I can see that now. You'll notice that we are actually in Las Palmas. And there's the weather forecast there as well, because all this data information, I'm just going to take this off. I was completely immersed there within that environment and pop that down. But it was quite natural. Instead of being in a physical location, I was in that with real data feeds coming around me. And if that information was too much for me, I need some help, what I could easily do is invite somebody into that software-based cloud environment to start to assist me. I could be met in there with other people. So that invitation of getting somebody in there to help me is very quick. So rather than having to maybe wait for somebody to arrive in this physical location. So my control room has gone virtual. And I've accessed it by putting a 360 helmet on and actually start to immerse myself in that environment, which felt very natural actually, to look around and start monitoring different things. I can see how it was happening. I could push out information then to the people on the ground to help them with the decisions and helping them fight that fire. So here we've got 360 virtual reality environments being created to maybe replace the physical control room.
Thanks a lot, Rob. So that's Sky Dome, Lisa. And what I really like about that is that obviously you're immersed in the environment with your head-mounted display on. You can see all those, feeds and speeds and camera feeds and whatever. But you can be in that space with somebody else virtually, so that you can start looking at these data sources together. I find that really interesting. Obviously, that's emergency response. That's great. Where else? What other industries do you see this kind of technology having an application?
So I think what I love about that demonstration, David, is exactly the same as you. It's a kind of a visual interpretation of how what's really important is bringing data from multiple different sets together and driving insight from that data, because that enables us to make decisions and enables us to collaborate really effectively. And so actually, if you took the situation of Sky Dome, you've referred to the benefits to the emergency teams. But if you also think about it from a local authority perspective, somebody who's managing a city can be taking data from, air quality, traffic situations, and weather and all the rest of it, so that they can make effective decisions together in a collaborative and virtual environment to really improve the running and the efficiency around that town. Another great example we love is the University of Warwick, and on campus there, they've got similar technology, and they're monitoring movement across site, building occupancy, and all of that type of data, again, in that kind of virtual operational sense. And then I can go on, but
I'm sure
the last one I'll mention is the smart ports. We're talking to lots of different ports across the country at the moment in terms of particularly security and surveillance, and how actually across big estates they can bring people together to collaborate in a virtual world with the data from across, their freight, their cargo, their storehouses, and so on.
Well, you mentioned Warwick there, and of course we had David from the University of Warwick talking about their 5G connected campus last time before on The Future Is Now. Really interesting stuff. Hold that thought about the benefits, though, because it's time for another poll question. And building on the benefits of this type of technology, what we want to know this time is what you see as the biggest benefit of implementing a hybrid working strategy. Polls on the screen right now. Let us know. We'll come back to it in just a moment. Lisa, as we know, no technology is an island, and what I'd like to kind of pull the threads on a little bit is what this technology enables and what challenges it can overcome when it is combined with other technologies. So, mixed reality, immersive realities, plus IoT, plus machine learning. Where does that mix bring us?
So, I think that the fantastic thing is that we are seeing real tangible evidence now of the benefits that organisations are realising from combining those technologies. We've seen real benefits for BT as well in terms of how we interact with customers, combining the contact center type scenario with the customers and their home situation with this sort of more collaborative way of kind of working. And we've seen the ability to bring different experts into that scenario so that actually we can resolve a customer's problem or issue so much more effectively, so that customer experience is improved. But also from a productivity perspective, the fact that we aren't traveling, so there's a sustainability element to this as well.
Yes.
We're bringing this data in virtually, and obviously on the Sky Dome demo as well, you saw the drone. That's another technology as well that we're working with in terms of bringing that data back from drones into that scenario, into the ability to be able to capture more information for that decisioning and improving productivity. So, we talked about the smart city scenario, and the combination of those different technologies, we've seen massive benefits in terms of energy savings, electricity bills going down, and so on. So, productivity, customer experience are just two real key benefits that come out of the back of this.
Lots of benefits there. Let's come back to our poll and see what you had to say about the biggest benefits you see in implementing hybrid working strategy and technology. Let's look at the results right now and see what we've got. Right, the top of the list there, biggest benefit, employee satisfaction at the top, followed by boosting staff productivity, enhancing customer experiences down the bottom, and just above that, a reduction in operational costs. So interesting stuff. Employee satisfaction very close to boosting staff productivity there. Maybe no surprises with the second one in terms of, satisfaction, employee experience. Oh, no, actually, yeah. That does make sense that it's the top, really. But there are lots of different benefits that are competing here, and I think that speaks volumes about the power of this technology, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think actually that what's common to all of those is it's people collaborating more effectively together, yes, which is the whole point, isn't it? It's just different labels on that principle.
Fantastic stuff. Well, listen, Lisa, thank you very much indeed. And of course, thank you very much as well. Rob will be back with both of you later on for another tech demo from Adastral Park. I can't wait to see what it is. Thank you, Lisa. Let's head back to Lisa and Rob at Adastral Park for our final tech demo of the day. And this time, it's a product called Virtuoso, Virtuoso. See what they did there. This is an immersive learning tool that claims to take collaboration and remote training to the next level. And Rob joins us now. And I think you've got a couple of demos there for us, Rob. Education at a retail store and also something in an operating theatre. Tell us more.
OK, thanks. We're now going to look at this immersive learning tool we've got here called Virtuoso. As you can see on the screen here, I'm the tutor. I've just set up a learning experience for a retail experience as Lego here. So I've got my 360 video in this initial slide. And you can see I've got other slides down the side here. So I can start driving the experience for pupils coming into my cloud-based experience. They can come in via a laptop. There's a desktop experience there. You can see the slide on there. It's that initial slide there. Shane, I've got Shane in on the phone, so they can actually use their finger to go through that initial slide there. And of course, somebody could be in a virtual reality experience where they're going to look around using a headset. The tutor, as we can see, initial slide there is outside the store. Let's go to the next slide where it's actually in the store now. So you can now see it's in the store. Shane's able to look around the store now. The great thing is the tutor can actually turn on this button here, this inspect button, that now brings up on screen where people are looking in terms of the actual tutor, the pupils. So I can see there that Shane is currently looking at this part of the screen. We can see that. What I want him to do is actually look, if I take my laser pointer, I want him to look over here. And that's where I want everybody to look, is over there. And you can see on the screen now that I've got an arrow. So Shane, oh look, needs to look there. And I'm now back in. And you can see that over there. So Shane's now looking there. So the tutor's got complete control and knowledge over where the people are actually looking in this experience. So very immersive, very controlled. I can get people to understand each element of the experience as we go through it. Of course, this is a retail one. What we could do, I've got another tab set up here. This is an operating theatre. So within this experience, again, people could come in, VR headsets, flat files, or on a laptop, and start to experience what they need to have in an operating theatre and be taken through that by a tutor. Another one, different one, could be a manufacturing experience, going through a factory. So It's a safe environment and a safe way to learn. They haven't got to go to the place and put on all the PPE. They can be immersed in the experience from a VR experience, and the tutor can take you through the slides as they go and immerse you in that experience. So you can start to learn and develop in a safe way. So that is virtuoso.
Thank you, Rob. And Lisa joins us back from her shopping centre. I'm sure a lot of people, will be interested to know more about the kind of research you're doing at Adastral Park. But this type of technology that Rob showed us there, the virtuoso stuff, how that can be adopted by other industries.
Yeah, so and I think we've heard a lot there from John and the video that John showed us as well in terms of kind of that remote expert scenario and bringing them to bear. We will have shown on a previous episode, David, about our volumetric video work that we're doing, and that's an example of how we extend from this and enhance even further. So just as a reminder, that was all about how do we capture content in volumetric form so that you feel that the person or the item is there in front of you in 3D. And that has real transformative aspects in terms of that collaboration, because you can have, in the context of education, we talked about the training elements, but actually the ability to, in the form of dance tuition, feel that you are there with your tutor who's actually there in volumetric form. Other examples, architect, design, office, and all the rest of it, to be able to get round models in a virtual environment, but because they're 3D, it further enhances that collaboration and that experience. So there's loads of room and lots to go for here in terms of further benefits that we can build on the technologies that you've just seen.
Well, let's pull out on one or two of those in that case. So how have you seen, or maybe you've got some examples there at Adastral Park around how VR and AR is helping organisations to, customer experience. We were just chatting, that was in one of the polls that we just took a look at with John a moment ago about how this technology can improve customer experience. Also, sustainability as well. We've seen about some of the benefits there, or productivity boosting as well. Give me some examples of the sort of work you're doing to boost those areas.
I mean, I think you talked about one of the main areas, which is, that bringing a remote expert in, because that has fantastic benefits, as you've discussed. It means that the engineer who's facing with the problem can bring a remote expert in so they can be productive and complete the task. The customer gets the issue resolved immediately, so customer experience improves. And as an organisation, we haven't had to send somebody else out. And that's where you start to see the operational cost savings, but also the sustainability piece. But in terms of another example, or actually a build on that example, we're seeing the use of technology in customers' own homes used via our contact centre agents to be able to help customers in their homes. So an example of that would be a customer phoning in with maybe a problem with their hub, and the advisor or the contact center agent being able to use the customer's own phone to kind of beam into what's happening with that hub, and hopefully identifying the root cause of the issue. Maybe they have the port cable plugged in the wrong place, and so on and so forth. So again, that's where that customer experience comes in, because they've benefited immediately, and we haven't had to send out an engineer, which is where the productivity and the sustainability come back into play.
Yeah, so on that customer service point, we've actually had a question come in from Michael. Thank you very much indeed for your question, Michael. And this is about, maybe it's one of the challenges, I don't know. Michael asks, what innovative approaches have you seen that help to dilute the coldness that is sometimes associated with technology and customer connectedness? So I guess there is this separation that can lead to a lack of warmth. I think that's the point you're getting there, Michael.
Yeah.
How have you seen technology try to warm up some of these interactions?
So that's a really great question. And I think, yes, the way that you're interpreting is the way I'll choose to interpret that, David. So, I mean, I think I'd first say that I don't think you can actually really get to a point yet where technology is going to do everything and there will be no need for a human in the loop, so to speak. That I think there is an element of need for a human interaction to be able to set and frame, those interactions and those conversations within the context of the technology. However, having said that, we are working on lots of different technologies that will improve and will take away the barriers that might make technology feel cold. So, for example, work on multimodal senses. So this is bringing in maybe together with the visual and the audio, and the audio is very, very important, not just the visual. We tend to concentrate on the visual side of things, but what you hear is really important. But together with the audio and visual, can you combine smell? And you talked with John about touch as well, and the use of haptics. So that's one example of how you could bring all of those together to kind of just create that real feeling. And that volumetric video that I talked about as well, in terms of being able to really have a 3D image of the person that you're talking with, so that you feel that they are in the room with you and you're connected with them. And then, of course, there's always avatars. So who knows, David? Maybe we're going to embrace the avatars. We're going to get to personalize those. And as we get better or more familiar with digital avatars, that will sort of break down some of that coldness.
We were having exactly... We were having exactly that conversation just before the cameras went up in the green room, actually, about where this technology will take us next, about whether we do go into virtual rooms with each other, virtual meeting rooms with photorealistic versions of ourselves in these virtual spaces, or whether avatars might be that first step, more cartoony or less photorealistic, whether that might be an easier on-ramp. But either way, that's going to help to create, I think, that warmth that Michael is talking about here.
Yeah. I think so as well, David.
Listen, Lisa, thank you so much indeed for joining us. Don't go anywhere, because you'll be joining us for our Q&A in just a moment. But Lisa, and of course Rob, thank you very much.